Thank you so much, Remo. Ladies and gents, let me start by greeting the leadership of TCE1 Residence, led by the chairperson of the RES committee, Mpho, the mentors led by Keletso Makinda, all RCs, all mentors, the student RES assistant, each one of you. I'm not sure if there's any other leader from any of the other residences, be it Monmouth campus or outside. If there's any guest in the house, greetings. But let me also greet my favorite people of all people on campus, all students and residents of TCE1 Residence, where the best resides. Ladies and gents, I wonder why. Normally when I have to stand in front of people and speak, I do it with a lot of ease. But I find it somewhat a bit different today. It feels a bit overwhelming. I'm feeling a bit shy even to speak. And perhaps it's because of a special generation of South Africans that lived before us, such that 46 years later, we still celebrate them. Some people see it fit to wear their uniforms and celebrate the generation of 1976. Some people see it fit to gather in different and on different platforms to celebrate the same generation. And we are here, I mean, you and I are also gathered here for no other reason, but I think to commemorate the generation, 1976, 46 years later even. Now, may I start my talk by a quote that was said, something that was said by Frantz Fanon, who's a writer, who's a scholar, who once said, each generation must, out of relative obscurity, discover its mission, fulfill it, or betray it. Each generation must, out of relative obscurity, find out what its mission is. After the generation would have found out what their mission is, they have two choices about the discovery that they would have made. The first choice that they have is that they must fulfill, or they can either fulfill that mission of their generation that they have discovered. But the second choice that they have is that they can betray it. And it goes without saying, by the fact that you and I are gathered here, that the generation of 1976 indeed discovered their mission. And after discovering their mission, they made a choice. And the choice that they made was that they are not going to betray that particular mission that they discovered. In the main, because I mean the group of 1976 we are speaking of, most of them today are in their 60s and 70s. At the time, the biggest issue was the system of education that was biased towards the black child, with the government having then decided that Afrikaans will be the sole and medium of instruction in all South African schools. And young people realized the mission of the time, that the mission of the time was to ensure that they are not in any way oppressed. And they therefore decided that they are going to fulfill the mission that they have discovered. I'm not going to speak much about that generation because we read about them. Some of us, yes, have been fortunate to have met some of them and spoken to them. We've seen interviews, heard them on the radio. But please allow me to speak to us that are gathered here today. And by so doing, start by asking a question to say, can we say the same thing of the generation that you and I are part of? Can we say this generation has found what its mission is. Then also say this generation has made a choice to either fulfill or betray the mission that they have discovered to be about this generation. And I think as we have this conversation, I so wish I did not have to hold the mic so that I can be free. But as we have this conversation, there are certain things, a few nuggets, or a few pointers that I personally would like to explore with you. And I please ask that protect me from yourself. Please, may I please be free? Can I?
Yeah.
Can I tell the truth?
Yes.
Thank you. I don't want to leave here without my glasses. Not that I won't see where I'm going, I'll see, but I probably won't see properly. Let's start by asking, what are the day's biggest problems, particularly amongst the young people? What are the young people of South Africa today grappling with? And this question is relevant to ask from where I'm standing because all of us here are young people. Some of us left the age gap of being called a youth some time back, but even so, it doesn't stop the fact that at some point we were young. I was young. I've seen some of these things happening in front of my eyes. I happen to have the fortunate blessing of working with young people on a daily basis, and I'm able to then think and see that there are issues that are facing young people. And if anything, whatever issues that young people are facing will never get solutions from anywhere else, except from young people. And this goes back to what Frantz Fanon says, that every generation must discover its mission. It is the two choices that I'm more emphasizing on. After the mission is discovered, do we fulfill the mission or do we betray the mission? Now, one thing that we must agree on, and I think there's no two ways about it. We'll agree on it because you cannot work on a solution for a problem that you've not identified. So if you are going to find a solution, it must have been that you've identified the problem. Thus, you will be working on a solution. Unemployment is a big issue in South Africa today for you and I. And maybe I sound to be oblivious when I say for you and I because I am working, I'm employed. You are studying here, but the sad reality of the status quo in our country today is that much as you are studying here, the person that's sitting next to you is looking for the same job that you are looking for. And the possibility and the reality that you might have to face once you've graduated and we've thrown parties for you, we've written statuses about you, about how good and or naughty you were on campus, but still you made it and graduated. Some of you might have to look unemployment in the face. It's the reality of the day. Does that, however, mean there is no solution? I'm not here to give you solutions. I'm here to rather provoke you to say, look at what we are facing, you and I. After you've looked at it, it is up to you to make one of two choices, fulfill or betray. I'll later speak to the global village that we live in. And when we speak about the global village later on, one question that I'm leaving with you now that we will turn back to later on is that as you are busy now with the course of study that you've chosen, are you studying to be a South African person or are you studying for the world? So if you are a teacher, does this mean that if Musupa Heights, Musupa Tela Secondary School where you come from, or Shanganani or whatever school, Rangailani, wherever way you could be coming from, does it mean that if the school from Kasiahao or from the nearest town, the nearest city doesn't hire you, you are out of circulation as a teacher? Or does it mean that you must provoke yourself to even see beyond the borders of the Republic? I still say there's two questions to all this: fulfill or betray. Now, the first thing that I'm bringing to you is that What are the biggest problems that we are facing with, and who must resolve them? Then the question I'm leaving to you is that after you've identified those problems, how are you going to do it? I touched on this and now I come full blown to it. We live in a global village. We live in a world that is as small as you could imagine. Let me give you an example. If someone is to leave Cape Town now, driving to Pretoria, and someone is to take a flight from London in the UK, coming to Pretoria, who's going to arrive first in Pretoria? Come again, let's talk. One is leaving Cape Town driving, one is taking a flight from London coming to Pretoria. Both of them, let's say they are siblings. They are coming for a celebration at home, Soshanguve. One is based in the UK in London, another one is based in Cape Town. 4 o'clock now, 4 p.m. The one in Cape Town says, okay, I'm leaving now. I'm going on the N1, I'm driving. And then the one in the UK says, yeah, I'm at Heathrow Airport, I'm going into my flight, I'm coming home. Who's going to get here first?
The one from the UK.
Okay, the house is split. Some people are saying the one from the UK, some are saying from Cape Town. The one that is in the UK is going to get here first. Because if you are driving from Cape Town to Pretoria, you are not going to take anything less than 14 hours. Whilst if you are flying from London, you will just fly about 10 hours. And I'm speaking about a car. If the other person is using a bus, chances are that the one that is flying from London could actually come and fly back without that one having been home. And this describes the world that you and I are living in today. The question that you and I must grapple with, however, is that are we citizens of this global village? If we are, how are we participating in this global village? Here's the thing: WhatsApp, Facebook, LinkedIn, Instagram, Twitter have made it much easier for us to interact with the world. For us, it's Twitter, yeah. That's how it is. So for us to interact with the world, and that is the confirmation that indeed we live in a global village. I would like to give you an assignment, because the global village that you and I live in is made of the same people as us. Maybe color is different, maybe they have eyes that look sweet because they are of Asian descent and all those things. Maybe they are a bit whiter in color. But the biggest question that you and I must ask is that, whilst we are busy using all these things that make us part of a global village, to whatever advantage or disadvantage we're using them for, what are our counterparts in other parts of the world doing? For example, one quick example that I know you will relate to. One of the biggest videos that trended in South Africa over the last 2 weeks. Can anyone guess which is that video that trended the most in South Africa in the last 2 weeks? Madenas. So Madenas was trending in South Africa. And everyone is excited. Some of you are already, how I knew about Madenas. I was somewhere on campus and a male student was passing and 2 female students were going, yeah, Madenas. I'm like, eh? Who's Madenas? So I then had to go and look, Mara, who's this Madenas person that's being referred to? Now, but that is not my point. My point is that whilst you as young South Africans were busy Madenas, what was the Asian young person doing? What was the European young person doing? What was the American young person doing? Were they not developing a software that will tomorrow be what you install on your phone? Whilst you were busy on Madenas, were they not busy developing an electronic system that you and I will probably use in some of the equipment that we are using, maybe even in this class?
Yeah, we did.
And that is how I would like you to look at the status quo of where you are as a young person today, and particularly as a citizen of a global village. Let's do a quick exercise. How many of you have passports? Hands up, please. Passports. passport. I'm literally counting 4 people. I want a passport. 5 years.
I do have one.
And then the question becomes, why are we not having passports? And let me tell you, and you are right to be asking that question, CRP. The biggest answer you need to give yourself is that what are you preparing yourself for? If you were to get an opportunity that is outside of where you are, and I'm speaking now about South Africa, if you were to get an opportunity outside of South Africa, what is going to be that first thing that rings in your mind? She your mom, she sees Subudi, and you are my friend. Whilst, I mean, for example, if you were to, I just saw a note, I was on LinkedIn just this morning, and I saw the guy that has been appointed as the HOD for entrepreneurship at TUT. His name is Dr. Patrick Ebeo. Already when I say Ebeo, it's clear he's not South African. It's clear he's not South African. This is someone who came from the DRC. After completing his studies, came to study in South Africa, completed his studies, went for masters, went for doctorate, he's today the HOD. Can we complain and say a Congolese person is an HOD for Department 8? No. The reason why we cannot is that we do not have the same skills that he has. And why are we not developing those skills when we live in a global village? And you think this is, guys, it's how life is. 2 years ago, 2020, just before COVID, around February, somebody sent me a post of a job in Berlin, in Germany, and I wanted to apply. But now, I'm looking at myself, I'm thinking, my CV is not of international standards. I've just used it to apply for jobs from South Africa. So let me check someone who can assist. I speak to a friend, and I'll speak to this again when I speak to the issue of age. I speak to a friend who's a risk manager for Sub-Saharan Africa with ABSA. So this means this person, out of the 54 countries in Africa, he's responsible for 48 countries in Africa. I said, well, there's a post that I've identified and I would like to apply for. May you please give me your CV so that I can use it as a template to apply for this international position. The response that I got shocked me all my life. I'm still shocked today, and that's why I've gone back to school. And I'll keep going back to school again. He said to me, but for the last time I ever wrote a CV, this was 2020, in February. The last time I ever sat down to draft a CV was back in 2009, when I started working. This person has, by the way, changed jobs 4 times. He's in banking. All the jobs that he's been to, so in 2009 he got taken over National Treasury as an intern on a professional learnership, and then he grew within the ranks. Then Standard Bank came, got him, ABSA got him from Standard Bank. So he's just been doing this. So whoever who pays him more, he goes there. My point is that the relative obscurity that Frantz Fanon speaks about, that means that it doesn't matter where you are coming from. The person I'm telling you about, by the way, you either have to put him at 2 places because he's originally from Soshanguve, Monster Laws. If you have to say, you are lying, he moved from Limpopo and went to study for Snake Park, Soweto. But he did his matric. Some people might know what I'm speaking about, those that come from that side. Now, the relative obscurity that you are coming from doesn't take into consideration where you are coming from. What matters is how determined you are to change the status quo. Now, let me tell you guys, not all of you are going to find jobs in South Africa. The reason why some people are unemployed in South Africa is that they don't want to find employment somewhere else. I mean, in worst case scenarios, is someone who says, now I will never go work in Limpopo or I'll never go work in KZN because mentality, now, Another thing that I would like to speak to us about this afternoon is that is age an issue? That's how old you are even count. How old you are, does it even count? No. It does not count, because guess what? When he became president of the United States of America, Barack Obama was only 46. He remains to date the youngest president ever of the USA. This afternoon, I went to donate blood. So when I was coming back, I happened to bump into an interview on the radio with a gentleman called Enruzuro. Enruzuro is now the 44th CEO of the Masters Toast Club, in Toastmasters Club in Southern Africa. And the guy is only 26. 26. And he's a CEO of an organization responsible for 12 countries, all countries in Southern Africa. Now, does age matter? Those of you who go to church, or those of you who sometimes visit the Bible, there are words that Apostle Paul says to Timothy in the book of 1 Timothy chapter 4, verse 12, where he says, do not let anyone look down on you because of your youth, but be an example in deed and in actions. Now, ladies and gents, much as the youth of 1976, young as they were, I mean, we are told that how old was Hector Peterson? How old was Hector Peterson? How, guys? How old was Hector Peterson? Hector Peterson was about 30. Anyway, but the point I'm driving home is that your age does not matter. It does not, much as we can celebrate all people who get degrees at the age of 60, 70, we should celebrate young people that get this or achieve these victories at a very young age. One thing I realized that we blacks have a problem with, we have, and it makes people who achieve things to even be scared of coming out. We have a problem with people who achieve young. Somebody said to black people, for you to do something, you must be old. And I don't know where that comes from. There's this thing, if a young person, for example, was to be a boss at work, there's always that thing, like that. A boss in 2017 is very young, and I think it's probably a problem some of us had when we started work, myself and Bobra Arch, because when we started, we were almost the youngest people in the environment. And everyone that was reporting to us was much older. In some instances, some of them were probably at the I mean, I have someone now who's been on retirement for over 5 years, which means she's relatively the same age as my mom. But my point is that it doesn't matter how old you are. You should be achieving something. You are young today is a matter of fact. But another matter of fact is that you'll be old tomorrow. The one question I would like to ask you is that the picture that you are painting as a young person today, is it a picture that you would like to put on the wall of yourself and watch? As you are living now, everything that you are doing, so every exam you write and pass or fail, every party you go to or do not go to, every girl you sleep with and you do not sleep with, every man you sleep with and do not sleep with, everything you do literally is part of a picture that you are painting in your youth. The question, however, is that tomorrow, when we take that picture and put it on a wall, will it be a picture that you open your eyes and watch? Or will you be embarrassed to watch that picture? We sound insensitive today when there are people we went to school with, including myself, maybe Bra'ach. I'm a local boy from Korankua. Every time when I go to the complex, we keep saying, okay, Korankua, much as okay has no longer been there for 15 years and over. Every time I go there, I see guys that I was in school with. Some of them were better than I was, academically, honestly speaking. Some of them, Nailidi Cheese Boy, they had everything that you could ask for. In fact, everything that, every shoe that you dreamt of wanting to wear, they had it. And sometimes not even one, sometimes different colors. But today, they beg you for two lengths. Like, that's how low they are. I'm not saying this to rather step on their heads, but I'm saying these guys, at a time in their lives, they had an opportunity to make a choice. This time, at a time in their lives, they were faced with the challenge of identifying a mission for their lives, fulfilling it or betraying it. I leave it to you to answer the question, did they fulfill or betray the missions of their lives? My second and last point is this one. It's quality and quantity. For everything that lives and or exists, the measurement thereof is quality or quantity. Let's start with quantity. If in your class, if this was a class and I was a lecturer, and there was a good 50, 40 of you here, there's a quantity of 40 heads of people. But the truth of the matter is that of the 40 that's here, not everyone is quality. It's a matter of fact.
Touche.
And it's for that reason that my friend Braachi will drive a BMW and I'll drive a Kia. Everyone chooses their quality. He's chosen his quality, I've chosen my quality. It's for that reason that someone will buy Albani bread and someone will buy Fakumoy. Everyone chooses their quantity and their quality. Here's the thing, however. When it comes to cars, when it comes to bread, when it comes to clothes, when it comes to all other things that are not human beings, somebody makes a choice of the standard of the quality as well as the quantity that is going to be produced. Someone makes a choice how many BMWs are manufactured, what's going to be the quality. That's why someone would go and buy a car called the Haval, and tomorrow come back and put a note on the same window of the same car that he or she went to buy and say, make sure you never buy a Haval in your life. Because they are shocked by the quality that they have discovered. But remember that Haval, somebody made a choice of what quality is going to become. Let's speak about human beings and quality. The quality of a person that you become is determined by no one else but you. So the issue is that, yes, the determining factor is quality and quantity. The quality of the person that you become is determined by you. So if you are a Madoda School student, that is the quality that you've chosen for yourself. That is the quality that you become. If you are an exceptional student, that is the quality of the measurement that you will become, and that is actually the quality that you've chosen for yourself. What does that say to us? Choose your quality, but choose it knowing that the quality that you choose becomes part of the picture that you have to put on the wall. I acknowledge that I'm not speaking to perfect people here, much as I'm not. As we grow, we make mistakes. Some people's mistakes are bigger than others' mistakes. Our mistakes is that we have kids or we had kids. One not, or then we caught HIV. So our mistakes differ. Some of us, you chose to miss a test, and that is the test that determines what is going to be your predicate. And by that, you failed your module. So all of us are as a result of certain decisions that we made as we were growing. Now, the last point that I would like to make before I conclude is that you are the turning point to either making progress or continuing with regression. I speak with due respect to most of us gathered here, that most of us that are gathered here, we did not grow with silver spoons in our mouth. In fact, some of us, as we are here, the reality that we've left behind at our homes where we come from is of extreme poverty. Some of you, as schools are closing, what awaiting you next week or in 2 weeks' time is a wheelbarrow and 2 buckets because you must go emfuleni uyothola amanzi. I'm not saying this, guys, to be, looking down on everyone. I'm saying this because I would like to bring it to your attention. I would like to bring a hopeful picture to you to say you can make a choice to change that environment. You can make it a personal mission to change where you are coming from. If you are a firstborn, you can make it a choice to change how your siblings live life after you. It's all in your hands. You are the turning point. Whether your family is going to remain poor forever, or your family is going to continuously be growing and reach new levels of achievement, it's literally in your hands. It goes back to what Frans Fanon said. Every generation must, from relative obscurity, discover its own mission. Then make one of 2 choices. You either fulfill the mission or you betray it. Ladies and gentlemen, I must confess I was not there in 1976, but I hope the 1976 generation looks down on you and is proud to say they did not betray their mission for fighting for the rights that you and I are enjoying, that they could not enjoy. Remo, thanks.